steht da mal einfach nicht klar. Shalom Aleichem. We're going to speak today about בחירה אמיתית. It's called, what's your name? Mandy Feig. You speak English too, no? So sit down. We'll be able to ask questions. It's very hard for me to talk to the wall. I have people that listen. So I have here ניתן and Shiur. Mandy Feig. So ladies can see him. Shmuley Gert, how are you? Shmuley, call the sailors, is it cold?
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
So today we're going to speak.
Okay,
I won't mind if you can ask questions so you get me on the ball. I just arrived here. A little bit, so in the klampti pause, and maybe there's a shell out.
Good morning.
Good morning. Oh, Jack, you're there. I thought you were in New York already. So, Shalom Aleichem. Kijk naar ganze mij. Ik kan daar van een mare bezig. We're going to speak today about בחירה אמיתית. Everybody's busy with free will. Three choices. What is the bchira? The Torah says, the satalachus, hachayim, v'satov, v'samuvis, v'sora. תסגור, לא ייכנס אוויר, זה יש בעיה של חתולים? זה בסדר, לא מפריע לי. The Torah tells us we can pick if we want to live, good or bad, life, yes, בחרתו בחיים. We have a stickle problem with that. Because whatever a person decides he wants, let's say a person wants money, so he decided he's going for money. At the end of the day, we come to the money, it ain't there anymore. I didn't come to the place that I wanted. That means I choose a certain way, but if I choose it, I'll only get it when I come there. When I come there, I see that I didn't get there. Not what, but like there's a certain feeling that a person has when he chooses something, makes him feel good. He has a direction. He knows where he's going to. So that gives him koyach. There's a will, there's a way. Once a person wants something, every time the will comes up, so you find a way, even though it's impossible. Where does that will come? There's the original will from the neshama yid that comes from chelek elekai, which is lasis. It's soinchu elekai chafatzti. The real will of a yid is to do what the Banshee wants me to do. But until that will comes down to us, it's with another few hundred wills in the middle. So even though I want what I want, so the Baal Shem Tov Kodesh said, this is also avodas Hashem. I want money because I want to raise my children, because I want a good chinuch. But at the end of the day, I want to get avodas Hashem. So the Yid HaKodesh says, we have no problem with that. Why? Never will our will, the first one, neto for the Banshee. There will be a few wills before that. I want money, I want children, I want shadichin, I want this, I want that. But at the end of the day, we want it for the Banshee. Then there is something that we're talking about, Busha said, when the Banshee is not around, the person not Torah mitzvahs, then he suffers. When I made Sakrusika, so actually I don't want to run Shalom. I don't want to suffer. So I know when I made Sakrusika, the Kushbach accepts it, even though you're not looking for the Shalom, you're just looking to get out of your problem. Shalom also accepts it. Where do we find it? We find it in Hilchis Gittin. The Rambam says that if a person has to give a get, and he doesn't want to give the get, so the Gemara says, you can force him until he says he's giving. No, as the Rambam, does he really want to give it? He doesn't want that he should chap klep, that's all he wants. He doesn't want to give the get. So why is it enough? So the Rambam says, the pnimis of a yid, the inside, the internal of a yid, wants to do what the Beshefa tells him. But it's very hard for him to live that way. Because in Mela, he is ready to, once you forced it, so the pnimis comes out, and that's enough to give a get. He wants other things. So Rambam says, it's enough that he said he wants to, even though it's not 100% pure. But it is, the Roitzani is when it's connected to the Bain Shloim, even though it's with a mishmash. But the Bain Shloim is Ein Sof, so the Ein Sof came out, and the get is a get. Which that is actually, what's the difference between when a person wants chitzonius, we'll call it. Chitzonius means he wants money, he wants kuvod, ta'avot. Is the minute he wants it, he gets a moedic strength that his nephew gives him, and he goes for it. But the problem is, once he comes to the Yesh Lemuna, it's not enough. So he comes there and sees it didn't start, or he sees someone else has a nicer thing than him. Whatever it is, if it's kuvod, you're chasing after kuvod, you got it already. They didn't get anything. Same thing as ta'avot. As he thinks he gets it, he didn't get anywhere. The mess, a person goes in the world, but he never fulfilled everything he wanted, or he was thinking that he would fulfill. So anything that we're doing in chitzonius will never get there. So that's the word that a person is always missing something. But if it's lasses etzonchu, the kaichu fatzti, that means whenever it's a chitzonius, it's not a pnimius. Then I lose it. I never get to my satisfaction. And if I do have satisfaction, it's on my way there. It's my fantasy. But all along the way, I might be fantasizing, but when it comes to mice, I didn't get anything. Let's talk about rochnis. This is the chiddush of Baal Shem Tov. The rochnis is the same thing too. When a person learns smartly ech kamu, says Shlomo Melech. Even when I'm learning Torah, if I'm only learning Torah for the yada, for my knowledge, I'm learning Torah for Kardem Lach, learning Torah for a side reason, not for the Dveikus Nakudish Baruch Hu. We'll explain some what that means. Then you can be Mula B'Torah, but the connection to the Baruch Shalom he didn't reach is then. He feels at the end of the day, he's empty. He feels at the end of the day, he never got there. Because the Baruch Shalom is Ein a Gif, the Ein a Mesiga Gif. I cannot get there anyways. So whatever person will do, if it's Gashmias, or it's Rochnias, the guy Stariba spielt the ganze Wi-Fi. Weißt du schon was? whatever a person does, he won't find himself. Maybe in Rochnius, he'll find himself more than he finds himself in Gashmius. Because Rochnius is something that you're closer to the Rebbeinu Shalom, we call it, it's less mechitzot, and it's more Rochnius. But the Gashmius has more mechitzot and less Rochnius. But at the end of the day, a person never comes fulfilled. He never comes. There's only one place that a person becomes full. That's Ani Kirvas Elikim Li Toiv. Ani Kirvas Elikim Li Toiv. That means not it will be good. It's now good. I'm not busy that tomorrow would be good. I might have feeling good already now. It's right now I'm good. That's called the Hoyme. Once we're connected to the Rebbeinu Shalom itself through the Torah, which the Torah, the Zohar Kodesh calls it not Tayag, it calls it Tayag Mitzvahs. It's actually Eitzot, ideas how to get close to the Rebbeinu Shalom, the Dovka boy. So I'm using actually the Torah as a tool to get the closest that I can to the Rebbeinu Shalom, which I cannot get without the Torah. So that means that the main thing that gets a person the quietness, the calmness, is actually the only place that he has his calmness is when he's connected to inner self. They call it the higher power, but which part of inner self is when I'm connected, that whatever I have is the Rebbeinu Shalom. So then that's the true bchira. That means we have two types of bchira. We call it three types. We have one type of bchira, which a person is boicher if he's looking b'chlal for pnimius, to be internal, or he's looking for chetzonius. Then we have a third type of bchira, that even the pnimius that you're looking for, which is Torah, a person can learn Kabbalah, can learn whatever pnimius HaTorah, but he didn't connect himself to the Rebbeinu Shalom itself. He only was using it for something outside, then he's not. That also doesn't give him satisfaction. The only time it gives him satisfaction is only through that he's connected to the pnimius. Comes the Gun Hagru. It says, but there's a problem. If a person sees on the way to home, comes home and he's hungry, and he sees there some herring and some kigel and some this, he eats a little bit of everything, and he's already ate already, and he can't eat. And his wife knows this sort why he didn't eat, because she must have ate in the shul. That means before we meet the Rebbeinu Shalom, we meet the Gashmias, or we could use the Chitzonius of the Gashmias, or the Chitzonius of the Pnimius. That gives us already enough full for today. So one side, I'm full for today. Mele, I have nothing to add on. We'll wait for next time. And next time is next time. Next time is next time. Comes the Gun and says, Atu choinein le'udam das. The bunch you gave for the person a way of das. Das means connection. Das means vayeda hu'udam. To be connected to a bunch only a Yid can get there. That means there's the Maral says there's doimim, tzemeach, chai, medaber, and the fifth one is a Yid. What's the difference between the other four and the Yid? We find that Kodesh Baruch Hu created the world. It says B'dvar Hashem Shamayim Nasi. Kodesh Baruch Hu created the world with 10 words, with 10 parents, Asura Mamuras, Never Ho'olam. That means when a Kodesh Baruch Hu said out a word, Yehi was created the world. Yehi Rekia, created Rekia. Etc. Every time, whenever Kadosh Baruch Hu said certain words, that brought the creation. Says the Ari, when we are talking about the realms of Rochnius, the one that is the lowest in the creation is Malchus, which is called Malchus Pers, talking. Why? Until I didn't talk, whatever I'm thinking about was inside, it wasn't outside at all. And once a person thinks, and then he starts talking, so once he talks it, we always say a Rebbe, when he says something, he's only saying a fifth of what he can talk, because there's 4/5 that he didn't even say it, that he doesn't say. Because every time you talk, you mitzamtzim, you condense it to where you can, but it's not everything that you know. There's a boy shloilam, b'dvar Hashem, b'dvar Hashem, Shemaim nasi. Everything started off the Shemaim and the Urz, everything becomes with Dvar, with talking. That means the farthest place is talking. But there's sometimes you scream is higher than talking. Because without words, when you scream, you can think about words that you cannot take it out with your mouth. And when there's a Sfasema says, the Gemara says when a person goes away from the world, the neshama gives a scream that you hear it from one end of the world to the other end of the world. God forbid you shouldn't be there, but I was a few times, but it's just neshama, you don't hear any screaming, it's pretty quiet. It says this Vasem is that it's not that you're screaming with kol, they're screaming without kol. They're screaming from your inside. Just as we said, words take off the strength of the thought. The same thing is screaming is less than screaming inside in your mind. That means every time these days you tell a person to go into meditation or to breathing, actually what you're doing is you're using his thoughts, but he can connect himself to the inner part of his thoughts than by talking. So talking has a mile, you take off the heat, but you're not connecting to yourself. The more we're in a quiet place, the more we connect. I have to thank you. Jonathan called me here to Shiloh, and he says Shiloh is the place where the Mishkan was, and Shiloh is the place of meditation. Shiloh is the place that a person can connect. I don't feel it yet, I just arrived, but I don't feel good already, so it must be something good. That means because the ship became, the Mishkan started off here in Shiloh. And
the Rebbe needs to be in the real Beis Hamikdash, not in the old one.
Well, here, what are you saying?
The Rebbe needs to come to the real Beis Hamikdash, not in the old Mishkan Shiloh.
Don't start up with me now, do me a favor. Komm, ben ich umgekommen nachher. Das ist schon schleppen weiter.
Ja, du findest doch nicht gut for a reason.
Ach so, okay. Was noch mehr nicht spielen geht, is, that means the more a person comes to a place of quietness, of tranquility, the more he gets broader. Men ha-meitza, Karusi Ko, whenever a person is in a Meitzah, he feels very narrow. He says, go out of yourself, go to Ko, to go to your core of yourself, the essence of yourself. Then automatically you come to a place which is called Merchav. Nothing changes, but you're in a place, another place that's not so narrow there. Mainly, the person feels much broader place, he feels space, he feels more free, we call it. I'll come back where we started off. So the Maratanya says, what's the difference between a Yid and a Goy? The Goy is talking. The Rebbeinu Shalom talked. A Yid was created from Hevel Piv Shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Was created from the breathing of a Kadosh Baruch Hu. So the breathing of a Kadosh Baruch Hu is something much more mufshat, much more original than the talking, because the talking is already mixed up with it's not original, and it's already covered up, and it's only not the whole, it's not the real thing. That means a Yid can come to the Chelik Lekayim Emal, that's, we call it by Chassidus, we call it Zbodadis, we call it every time a person goes to the mikveh, every time a person comes to Shabbos, when he sings, or now by the Chabir, when we're sitting together, every time that a person comes into a tzaddik, he doesn't know what it is, but he feels altogether different. How do you say in English? It's the air. I don't know what it is. What does the air mean? He means not talking anything, but the breathing that he's breathing is coming from a deeper place than when I talk. So that the breath has become much more materialized than the breath without talking. That means that it says in Mushal, if we're talking here, you can hear me. Even if you're all far from me, you can hear me. Even if I close the doors and close the room and close everything, if you get close, you put your ear near to the wall, you'll hear me. And these days you have all kinds of gadgets that you can listen to people, even though but my breath cannot come to you wherever you are in New York, or wherever you are in England, or wherever you're in Bnei Brak, even in Yerushalayim, doesn't come anywhere in Afratis or not. That means it's not the Chemish, wherever the Olim is. That means wherever in Yerushalayim, that means you can hear my words, but it's not the breath which is connected. That means a Yid, as he can even hear me, but if he's not connected to the Maggid says, when you're listening, you have to connect yourself to yourself. Then you connect to the words that you're saying. It's a much deeper place than when you're only listening, when only your ears are listening. We'll explain in another second better. So that's called Ato Choyna Le'udam Das. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives a person a chance to be connected. But there's a problem. Until I get to that connection, I got busy on the smorgasbord, and by the time it comes, the food on the table, I can't look at it anymore. In order to get that das, HaKadosh Baruch Hu teaches us enosh. Let us go over to the word enosh. Enosh means he's teaching us that we should know that we are powerless. Someone told me I should stop saying helpless, so powerless. We are powerless. That means in order to get more power, we have to always go to the Rebbeinu. How does he teach us that we're powerless? In order to connect to, as long as the battery works, we don't use the electricity. And once the battery goes low, we have to connect ourselves to electricity. So when do I connect myself to electricity? When a person feels energy, feels he's powerless. Powerless. It says the Guru, when do you feel powerless? There are 2 times a person feels powerless. Every time you meet yourself with a failure, actually you become powerless. You see yourself without power. Because you fell through and you're not complete. So we have to connect ourselves to the higher power. We have to fill up our batteries. Then we're blitten nicht kein Wasser. Blood is not water. It means once I have to. That means I have to connect to B'nai Shalom. I have to disconnect from the things that are bothering me, and I also have to connect to a higher power. That means I'm forced to connect to higher power. It's called every time a person loses his Yishuv Adas, actually Kodesh Baruch Hu gave him that in order they should connect themselves to Das, not he should lose it. It pick up his temper. Same thing he says the Gun. There's one more time that we lose our power. Is Einu Dam Zoike Vesbuem Melamatu, Elim Ken Machiznu Melamadu. Sometimes people outside have done things to me, or I myself do stupid things. Then I have to know, nobody can force me something that Kodesh Baruch Hu wants me to connect, to reconnect to Him. So every time something goes wrong, if it's outside, or it's from inside, or it's Ritzonius or Pnimius, makes no difference. It's a time to stop as on a highway and to refresh yourself. Refresh yourself means you have to know that you're disconnected and you're now powerless. You have to get yourself back, your power. That's actually what the Baruch Shem gives us to daven 3 times a day. As we said before, gives us mikveh, gives us Shabbos. He gives us the mitzvahs. Actually, what is he gives us the mitzvahs? The mitzvahs is actually, you can do a mitzvah just mitzvahs anushim elimuda. You can do a mitzvah in order to connect yourself to the Baruch Shem. It's the question, what are you looking for the mitzvah? If you're looking for the mitzvah only to eat breakfast, and you know you cannot be able to be the breakfast without davening shachas. So as we said before, that's also a rutzen that a Kodesh Baruch Hu accepts. But you haven't built up such a connection with your inner self that you're busy with it. But the more a person falls through, or the more a person built up his connection to the Baruch Shem, then he goes over. He's afraid he's going to lose it. Not he's going to afraid that he won't gain it, but he's afraid he might lose it. Once we get used to a good thing, then a person is always busy all the time. He shouldn't lose that thing. That means then I'm ready, even though I'm going through pain. But if that pain will connect me to a place that I'm much higher, then I'm ready to suffer because I'm getting something much more. So that will sum up. That means the Busha calls it Ani Kirvis Elikim Li Toiv. Ani Kirvis Elikim Li Toiv means that when a person has a bchira, he can have bchira either in chitzonis, kesef, tava v'kavod, or he has bchira in rochnis, we'll call it, but not the pnimis of the rochnis. But then every time he comes to a dead end, he feels himself, he didn't start, he fell through, someone has more than him, etc. He'll never come to that. Why? Because the deeper part of the person inside is actually lasses, actually to agree that I agree to what the Baruch Shem wants me to agree. The faster that a battle with Tzonchu, Kodesh Baruch Hu, his will is much greater than my will. But Kodesh Baruch Hu is ready to go out of his will, out of his way, in order to create a world, even though my will is much more. But once I'm ready to connect to his will, then I'm connected to the Hevel Pil. I'm connected to the inhalation of Kaviyuch, of exhalation of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that's much stronger than what I understand. So every time a person goes into an emotional turbulence, it's not because the Baruch Shem is not there, because Baruch Hu wants to accelerate me, wants to bring me up to a deeper connection, which right now, Avenoisai Mavdilen Katuv, that once a person does something wrong, till it comes to Kuris, then it comes like he built a wall around himself. But the Tshiva is called Amakadosh Esrishon Manashi Tzadi Guma. The Kadeshes, that means he always comes back through Tshiva. You can always come back at Tinik Shanoi Leduma. What is Tinik Shanoi Leduma? Tinik means he doesn't have his own mind, doesn't understand. All he knows, he feels good. As we said before, he has this feeling that his mother is here. That's what interest is. The Busha says at the end of the day, we started off with chitzonis. We started off with the chitzonis of the pneumius. At the end of the day, Kadosh Baruch Hu helps us. How does He help us? Yitzur shaludim is gabrulav. Through that the Kadosh Baruch Hu gives me the hardships that He helps. That's Kadosh Baruch Hu oizoi she'ein yuchel. I cannot. Without the Rebbeinu Shalom, I'm powerless. And where do I get the power? I get it from the Rebbeinu Shalom. Any questions?
Yeah, I have a little question.
Who's this?
Shmuligar.
Yeah, Shmuligar.
The way for me, I'm not sure it's for everyone, but for me, when I go into my deeper self, what happens is I want to deny everything. I want to remove Hashem. I want to move him out of the picture because it hurts so much. How do you remove your own feelings to the real feeling that the Rebbe says, the pneumius, which is Hashem? Because basically, when you're asking me to say something, when you're asking me to daven, so most of the times I'm not. I trust the tzaddikim, and I say, okay, the tzaddikim said we need to daven, so I daven, even though I don't feel inside that I'm connected. When you're asking me to connect, automatically my inner parts are screaming from pain. How do you connect this inner pain to Hashem and remove your feelings to the feelings of Hashem? Because basically what the Rebbe is saying is you need to feel Hashem's pain. You need to feel Hashem's will.
So what we have to explain here, how it works. As I said
how
before,
do you connect?
I understand
when you go into your inner self, how do you connect?
So I'm going to explain you something. It's just like, as I said before, you have to go home, you stop at a kiddush. By the time you come home, you're more interested in the chitzonius than you're interested in the pneumius. You're more interested in the chitzonius of the pneumius. You're not interested in the pneumius of the pneumius. You're interested in it, let's say, because that is part of your essence, but you're full already. Now we all, till the age of 13, we all got used to fill ourselves with understanding, with feelings, as we call it, with chitzonius. Even the pneumius is also chitzonius. The pneumius means you want a good shidduch, you want this, you want that. When the real life comes around, suddenly you see yourself lost. That means I feel myself actually lost, means that the inner side is hungry for something more than the outside. That is something, a drive that keeps on helping me for looking. So if I want to understand, you're right. I know who messed me up. I believe there's a bunch of him. He's messing me up. So I have a few ideas from one is to get off and start busy with someone else and find yourself other friends, which is very logic, but it doesn't work. So the Zohar HaKodesh says, the whole yid that I created you different than the doiman, samech, chai, medaber, from the goyim, I need you for that inner part, because I created the world that I should be recognized here with the pneumius. All the doimen that I created cannot do it. The tzamach cannot do it. The chai cannot do it. Even the medaber, the goy cannot do it. Why? Because it doesn't have that capability to be connected to the pneumius of the pneumius, just like you, because you were created from the hevel. Even the maluchim, you were before in the dargis of hevel, you were even before the maluchim. That means the Priulet says this week a very nice thing. It says a Gemara. The first time I saw that Gemara. Gemara says, the Gemara says, the Malach HaShuris will say, instead of saying to the Baruch Shalem, Kudesh, 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 they'll say to every Yid, Kudesh, Kudesh, Kudesh. Right now, we're saying Kudesh, Kudesh, Kudesh because the Maluchim are saying Kudesh, Kudesh. When the Bilu Siluva, it'll be just the opposite way around. Every time we'll say Kudesh, 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 they'll say Kudesh, Kudesh. Why? Because right now, if we have all the time, we're in a hidden place where it's covered up. Once it's covered up, so we don't know what, but the Maluchim means our inner part, does see what I don't see, even though my inner part, the Maluchim see it, and they also don't see all the way to the end. But they say Kudish, Kudish, Kudish. I rely on my inner part. As I said before, it gives me a certain simcha, as we said before. Whatever. So then we also say that Kudish, Kudish, but it's the one that has to start is the Maluchim have to start. And Mele we also say that the lucid Luroi actually our internal part will be without any hidden part. Then actually the Maluchim will start saying Kudish Kudish after we say Kudish Kudish. Why? Because
recording stopped.
Right? Why? Because we might be very far from the inner part, even farther than the doim, the tzamer, the chai, the medabek. The Yid was the last one out. Even by Nasinas HaTorah, Kudish Baruch, he gave that chelik l'kaim imal. But when a person picks himself up, he picks up the whole creation and even crosses them out, and then they'll be able to say Kudish, 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 and the whole world will say after them Kudish, Kudish. So now that's the creation. Now let's get back to Tachlis. As long as that doesn't happen, we have two modes. We have a mode of understanding. We have a mode which is called Emuna. A mode which is called understanding is, as long as it works, I feel good. I feel good. Why should I look for something good? Smorgasbord filled me up, so it's wonderful. Problem is, when there is no smorgasbord, or whatever the sibis is, I came and it's finished already. So then, actually, the people was מדגימים שמורגסגוד ואת הגורמי שנתנו שם, כבר לא נותנים בסודן, הם כבר מרק וזה, אתה מחפש מה שמדקדק לך שם, ואין את זה כבר. אז אבל מה, כל ההנהוג הישראלס, this is Ayid, when he comes to that place, that he doesn't understand, he doesn't feel, he doesn't. So he has one of two ways. Either he wants to understand, so then he gets angry at the B'nai Shlem, standing in my way, or he goes into Yush, and I don't want to continue, or he gives Achnur, he knows there's something much deeper than that, which is called the Amina, and the emotions, there's coping mechanism. Coping mechanism means every time I don't understand the matzah is, we go wild. Why? Because less machshuv tfisabay. Because I don't understand. But a Yid believes that wherever I am, I don't understand. That's because less machshuv tfisabay, aber isa de libe tfisabay. My amina can catch it. Not only it catches it, it brings something simcha much more than my understanding.
But how does it take away the suffering?
Again, so yesh sevel, yesh ke'ev. You have to get up in the morning, the ke'ev, you want to sleep another hour. But you're not suffering from it, because you have a certain goal that you're going. When do you start suffering? When you get to your goal and you didn't get it. That's when you start suffering. So a person will always be suffering because his bchira is not the right bchira. But once our and also, but when I'm ato v'chartuni, as we call it, what I'm picking out is havos chaltusim imeni, that I'm picking to live with you because you are the real thing. Then I will be happy at the end. I'm happy right now, even when I'm in pain, because that gives me the connection which I cannot get without that connection.
And that's only when you remove your own wills goals.
That's the problem. A person will not volunteer to do that. Only if the Kodesh Baruch Hu Slicha messed him up. That means two things. This is one of the things that people hide. Nobody should know my blemishes, as they call it, especially the celebs. And the number two is einer den Zoike v'esbuah melamata alim k'machizu l'mamalos. People say they're ready to work on our shiftless achmur. Well, why should the other person? I want to work on myself, but it doesn't work that way. That's what the Guan says. That Chishboch, in order to give us this das, this connection, he must give us two opportunities, which is much more. These two go on to hundreds of opportunities, but it's condensed to two. One, my own failures that I fell through, and one, outside things that I did something right, but it went wrong. Someone did something wrong. What's noch?
Very difficult. Just I'm now in the situation where going into your inner self always comes to this pain.
We have to know that we have to go out. We have to go out of the. We have to go out. Even psychology says, when the coping mechanism closes me, then I get overwhelmed, so I cannot even think right. It shuts off all my sources. So a person has to wait anyways 12 minutes till it calms down, and then he can start thinking right. But here, if you're doing it already, might as well go to a minute, because you don't have to bring it from anywhere. You don't have to find understanding. A minute, that is your essence. But you have to believe in that.
I think that since
you don't have to believe in that, because
you're part. My old life again. Since all life, I had my own ways of thinking. Now, as soon as I need to give myself over to someone, Hashem, who is that one who makes the real, he breaks the deal, then I start getting hard, because I thought it's one way is good. Now you get to know that whatever you thought is good is
again. We start off, if you're going to do the right
actually
things,
bad, or whatever.
We start off.
It's not only good, but he's also going to force it.
We start off to do the right things. This is the complication here. The Cheretz Kodma LeTorah. If you started doing the wrong things, and you say the Bunshlim made me to do it, you're in a problem. I had a bucher went back to the yeshiva and told the Mashgiach, Spinka Rebbe said the Mashgiach is only a sibber, so he's in trouble till today. That means you have to start doing the right things. That's the Cheretz Kodma LeTorah. You have to get you on the path that the Kodesh Baruch Hu created, this Olam Asiyu. And from the Asiya, I want you to get to Atzilis. But if you're going to make a bypass from and skip out and go straight to Atzilis, you become like all the bypasses that do the stage. At the end of the day, it's dangerous, ma. I don't hear you.
So to go make a bypass from Malchus to Kesser.
Exactly. But what does help, the only bypass we can do is Yiras Hashem. Yiras Hashem is Raishas Chochma, Yiras Hashem. That's the only bypass that we can do. That I'm still in Malchus, but instead of being Yira, that I don't understand and I don't feel, and I don't want to, I want the Baruch Shem Slicha, get out of my way. It's Yiras Hashem L'chaim. I want to connect to the Baruch. There are two types of Yira. There's Yiras Oynish. Then I'd rather not have a oynish now that I have him the way.
Because I'm afraid from losing it.
Right, about Yiras Haram, I'm afraid from losing it. So that's all has to do a lot how we do the mitzvahs. We're only doing the mitzvahs to get it off my back, so I never connected rightly that I'm feeling losing something. But the more we do something, we go to mikveh more, we go to tefillah b'tzibah more, we go to friends more. We're together by the share every week, so it gives me a new connection every time that I didn't have before, so then I don't want to lose it. So we have to meet more often, we could say.
Yeah. We're starting a new age.
Oh.
I'm out.
I'm
starting to live.
אני חיים, לטיחו, שעון ממני, והאדמו, Busha says, a person has to be born every day. Someone, Busha called into somebody and asked him, how are you doing? She says, are you happy? She says, some days I'm happy, some days I'm not. So Busha tells him, what's it up to? When things go I want, I'm happy. If things don't go I want, I'm not happy. So Bursha tells him, well, if you're going to be in tashlimim zeh, how do you say in English in tashlimim zeh? If you accept it,
give into it.
Give in, accept it. That's the good word. Accept it, not only give in, accept it. Then you're going to be always happy.
Embrace it.
Embrace it. That means, as long as I want to understand, you're right. So when I don't understand, my coping mechanism jumps and I lose it. But when I live in a minute, that means I accept it, I'm connected to it, I embrace it, then actually it gives me, I'm always in the place of simcha. Simcha means nothing goes wrong there. All the child doesn't know what a mother is, he can't understand the mother, but all he knows that when the mother is in the vicinity, it's quiet. Kol tiv, Rabbi Yisrael, tatzlicha. Looking forward to it.
Thank you.
Kol tiv, Paski. Kol tiv, Yovi. Kol tiv.
Thank you very, very much.
Kol tiv.
Thank you.
Kol tiv, Mashiach's Chaim.
Cheers.
Kol tiv.
Relative.
Wow.